James Corden, arsehole. Nobody wants you. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Regular viewers will be aware that I don't particularly like James Corden, arsehole, and you'll have enjoyed my most satisfying 4-part roast of him. Also, in relation to further revelations about his behaviour, which I've analysed to let you understand how his narcissism functions, more and more people have seen through the supposed tubby funny guy, and indeed those who've always found him unfunny and unlikable are revelling in the fact that he's being exposed. Many narcissists, of course, believe that they're hugely popular. That can often be as a consequence of the coterie around them telling them, "Darling, you were wonderful," and "It's a triumph," repeatedly given fuel and reassurance, vis-a-vis, of course, the need to have control, by those arse-tonging members of the coterie and those lieutenants within there who repeatedly remind the narcissist that they are amazing, wonderful, and talented, and that anybody who says to the contrary is just envious, is a hater, is perhaps a racist or a misogynist, dependent upon who the narcissist actually is. There are many narcissists who are immensely popular because they're talented, they're funny, that they're arrogant but in a way which is backed up by some actual abilities, that their cockiness is founded on something, and people will say, "He's a cocky so-and-so, but I can't help quite liking that level of confidence," that this individual is indeed a narcissist, but they create, they achieve, they do things, and therefore they have many fans. There are other narcissists who believe that they're far more popular than they actually are as a consequence of the deluding nature of their narcissism, which causes them to believe that everybody loves them. In a similar way to some narcissists who believe everybody wants to sleep with them, there are other narcissists that believe that the moment anybody meets them, that they're basically going to throw themselves on the floor and go, "I'm not worthy, it's so wonderful to meet you, I want to be friends with you, you're such an amazing person," and will be completely overawed by the presence of the narcissist. Anybody who does not subscribe to such a view must then be dispensed with, because they're clearly an idiot if they don't like, admire and adore the narcissist. Many narcissists, those particularly who are less able, find themselves in this situation whereby they'll have many detractors, but their narcissism will basically push them to one side and remind them of how brilliant they are, and those are just envious people. That they've made such a little go a very long way, but their narcissism will never let them see that. Of course, such narcissists have a double whammy difficulty. First of all, they invariably don't have any actual talent that people will go, "Yeah, he's a complete bell end, but he's damn good in front of goal, so at the end of the day, he might be a horrible human being, but I'll still support him. I'll still get behind because he scores goals for my team." Certain narcissists don't have that inherent ability, which is a redeeming feature. Furthermore, their own behaviours cause them to be unlikable, which is something, of course, Corden, arsehole, has repeatedly had happen to him. This then creates a further difficulty for the narcissist, because there is, if you like, a backwash of unpopularity towards the particular narcissist, which results in repeated challenges to the narcissist's sense of control by people perhaps shouting them across the street, "You should have treated your wife better," or "If you were in my restaurant, Tubby, I'd be shitting in your food," or that they face adverse publicity in the mainstream media, across social media, and of course this is something that James Corden, arsehole, has recently experienced. We turn to the Daily Mail in an article by Alistair Talbot, which tells us, "So, who gets James Corden, arsehole? England and US soccer fans joke the two teams settled for a World Cup goalless tie because neither country wanted to keep the late night show host." England and US soccer fans have engaged in a battle of words on social media over who gets to keep James Corden, arsehole, after both teams settled for a 0-0 draw in Qatar on Friday. That's 3 times and counting that the teams have met on soccer's biggest stage, and England is still waiting for its first win against the Americans at a competitive tournament. Coach Gareth Southgate had reminded his players of that record beforehand, with the US famously winning 1-0 in 1950 and playing out a 1-1 draw in 2010. They didn't seem to heed his warning and didn't respond to Greg Berhalter's young and energetic team. Yada 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 bit about the game, and then, before the clash, soccer fans had joked that the loser of the game had to keep Late Late Night Show host Corden arsehole, underpinning, of course, his unpopularity. "We deserve James Corden arsehole," after that performance, tweeted KFC UK after Friday's clash, so even the social media account of a fast food giant is taking the piss out of him. The 0-0 draw means that under the rules, James Corden arsehole has to be left in the middle of the Atlantic in a dinghy. #EngUSA, an England fan wrote. As a result of the draw between England and USA, James Corden arsehole has been set adrift in a wood barrel on the Atlantic, a USMNT supporter shared. Another added, "Sadly, that draw means that James Corden arsehole will spend 6 months in each country per year, the worst of all possible results." One fan found the ultimate solution to Friday's inconclusive outcome, suggesting that Corden arsehole should be blasted into space. "Nobody gets him. The world will heal," he added. Reflecting on the goalless draw and its significance, another fan tweeted, "If we learned anything today, it's that nobody wants James Corden arsehole. Let's just give France James Corden arsehole, then everyone's a winner," English journalist Alex Tiffin shared. Since England and the United States tied, the only fair compromise is for James Corden arsehole to be put in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, an American fan wrote. "I'm sure USA and England arranged a draw so nobody had to keep James Corden arsehole," one sceptical fan said. "At least we now have an excuse to cut James Corden arsehole in half," another fan tweeted. "So, who gets James Corden arsehole?" ex-Premier League commentator Arlo White said following the scoreless tie. And there were more comments besides. And of course this demonstrates the significant level of unpopularity that Mr. Corden arsehole currently has. He thinks, of course, everybody likes him. He thinks that because he's really funny, that everybody should like him. And of course, undoubtedly, the meme that was being circulated on social media and these comments thereafter will have come to his attention. He'll, of course, just dismiss it as some form of bants, reminding himself that he's wealthy, that he's funny, and they're all just envious little turds who would rather be him but can't be. That's how his narcissism will reject the challenges of all of these comments in social media. What it won't do is cause him to do this. "I wonder why so many people don't like me. What is it about me that brings out the worst in people to say that neither country wants me?" He will not sit there and consider that because his narcissism simply will not let him. There is no self-reflection. But perhaps there's salvation for James Corden arsehole below the line. Let's have a quick look there. Lisa Loves UK writes, "USA here. UK, please stop dumping your trash with us. You owe us big for keeping Megdusa and Spare here." Notice that this is an article about James Corden arsehole, and of course Harry's wife, universally disliked, bar from a hardcore of deluded individuals, gets mentioned once again. Somebody replies in response to that, Reform Party, "The big question is, if Harry and Megdusa separate, who gets custody of Obi Scooby?" No to ID 2020 replies, "Lisa Loves, and we thank you dearly. We just need a home for Corden, arsehole, as we did not realise how woke he was, and we are suffering already from this disease." Null asks, "Can't we give him to Canada? They're too nice to say no." The Mystery Man, "I'm sorry it was a tie match, however he's yours. Please keep him there. Okay, we'll throw in the Kardashians, Madonna, and anyone else you want, but please keep him there. Please." Duet Lark replies, "Send him to Mars. First human experiment. We know he can survive without food for a while. Hold the eggs." DB Cooper, "Lard-arse Corden, arsehole, was the worst thing to come across the Atlantic to America since smallpox." Full of myself, he's seriously not done himself any favours. Got too big for his boots. As the saying goes, don't treat people with contempt on the way up because you meet them in the way back down again. Null responds, "So true. Corden, arsehole, is too thick to know that." New Texan 4426, "Leave him in Qatar." Face it, Canada can have him, pick, drop him in the middle of the Atlantic. J. Smithy, I suppose we'll have to split him down the middle after the draw. Pippi Longstocking replies, there's plenty to go around. So it would appear that the comment section of the Daily Mail also roundly dislikes him. Ultimately, James Corden arsehole won't care. He'll be dismissive in that arrogant manner of his, taking solace in the fact that his flunkies think that he's marvellous, and these people clearly just don't understand or are envious of the fact that he has reached success. However, his growing unpopularity has taken him into rather further unwanted territory. You may have watched my video with regard to Catherine Ryan, the comedienne's observations about a predator. If you haven't, I would recommend that you pause watching this video, go and watch that and then return. I make it very clear that there is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that James Corden, arsehole, is the predator to whom she refers. No evidence whatsoever. Indeed, I would think, notwithstanding the fact that he's a narcissist, that it's unlikely to be him. That isn't his modus operandi. I think there are other suspects that are far more likely to be this individual than him. But that stated, when Catherine Ryan's observations were being circulated on social media, I noticed in a number of instances that Corden, arsehole's name, kept getting mentioned. And it appeared that primarily the reason that he was being mentioned was this: people just don't like him. They don't find him funny, they find him arrogant, to up himself, and of course his narcissistic traits coming to the fore, in terms of the way that he treats people, acting with his sense of entitlement, lack of emotional empathy, no accountability for his behaviours, witness the hold the eggs scenario in the restaurant, etc., means that when something unsavoury, whereby Catherine Ryan states that there is a well-known predator operating in the comedian circuit, that Corden, arsehole's name, is one of the few that gets mentioned and does so regularly. There are others, but Corden, arsehole, got mentioned repeatedly. Indeed, many people were saying, I really do hope it's him who'll go to prison and we don't have to see any more of him. And there were many unpleasant comments made about him. Were he popular, were he liked, his name would not have been mentioned. But it demonstrates the extent to which he's despised by individuals based on what? His behaviour. That he finds himself as a potential suspect with regard to the allegations made by Catherine Ryan. I repeat, there's no evidence at all to support that it is him, and I personally do not think it is him. I think it's somebody else. But the point is this: he finds himself in the frame, which is a collateral consequence, of course, of the way that he behaves towards people, so that they put him in the frame for such an accusation. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.